Hey, what's going on guys? Dr. Schwaz here. Welcome back to another Gears 5 video. This is going to be a tier list ranking for the support classes in escape mode. So this is the 7th part of an 8-part series I'm doing. Following video and final video will be the escape tier list rankings for all the promo classes. That's going to be pretty short because there's not a lot of skill cards there. I'm going to have timestamps coming up soon and in the description in the comments below as well, so that you can fast forward to a particular class if you want to see me ranking that particular class. Yep, feel free to do that. Yeah, and let me get started here. Alrighty guys, let's get started ranking the combat medic cards for escape. Custom Lancer, I'd say it's below average just because the fact that you need a Lancer makes it not as great as some other cards. In escape, if you need a weapon, if you have to run a card that requires you to have a weapon, it kind of makes it that's kind of a red flag because not all hives are going to have the weapons you want. So if the hive has a Lancer, a Retro, or a GL, feel free to run this card. But other than that, you are likely better off with some other cards. Dodge, ballistic resistance beyond 5 meters. In escape, I think the combat medic meta is more built towards damage resistance and healing stuff versus dealing damage. So any damage resistance cards, even pairing them together, are really nice. So Dodge I have at the top here. Get Up, Team Revive gives you and teammates 80% stim. Really clutch in certain situations. Team Revive doesn't really have a radius, so if your teammates are really far away from you, you can use this card and give them stim, heal them, and give them stim. So really nice. I'd say grenade pouch is above average just because a lot of hives have frag grenades or incendiary grenades. Getting extra flashbangs would be really nice as well to stun bosses so that other classes can kill them too. So pretty nice card. Healing bounty is average. Just anyone that kills your marked target heals. So if they're really hurt and they kill an enemy that's marked that's really low health, they'll heal for some percentage of their health, which is pretty nice. I think the class has better cards though. It feels like it's better than it says it is, but it's a solid card. Helpful headshots, above average. If the combat medic gets a Lancer, you can be pretty nice with this card, but even with pistol headshots, here and there, spraying and praying can keep your teammates alive, gives you stim and healing as long as your teammates are within 10 meters of you. Intervention, above average, killing revives teammates within 20 meters of the kill. So like if you kill a Juby that's down near your teammate, it'll revive them, so it just saves any card that saves sort of you having to use the ultimate in an emergency situation is really good. Modified Snub, below average, solid DPS card, you spawn with one, but you're really more likely to be going for, I think the meta for the combat medic and escape is more health regeneration, damage resistance oriented, so Modified Snub kind of doesn't really follow that formula. Overdoing it, I think it's a great card. I think it's better than Get Up, even though Stim is beautiful and Stim is awesome, but I think Team Revive heals friendlies for 11 seconds, and it gives you undelayed health regeneration, which is really nice. So you can avoid an easy wipe running this card. Gives you like 32% resistance and undelayed health regen. I can come in pretty clutch in certain situations, I can see. Perfect Condition and Razor's Edge, top, put them at above average. They're mediocre cards by themselves, but combining them together makes them pretty good. One card that gives you 32% resistance over 50% health, one is 32% under 50% health. Good thing is, combining them gives you 32% resistance overall, and then if you combine that with Dodge, you get 64% resistance outside of 5 meters. So that's really nice. Definitely solid, okay cards, but once you run them together, pretty good build. Suppressor Recharge, I would say is above average too. Actually, I'd probably say Suppressive Recharge is average. It used to be better, or it used to be more important, I would say, to run an escape, but 2 grenade kills is going to recharge your ultimate in escape now, because they dropped the ultimate recharge time from like 8 minutes down to like 4. So 2 kills is going to get you your ultimate back anyway. If there's hives with frag grenades, for instance, or shocks that you can kill enemies with, pair this with grenade pouch, and you can get your ultimate multiple times a hive, depending on if you need to use it. So it's really nice, but since you get the ultimate back much faster now, you don't really need it as often. Team repair, not useful. There's weapon lockers and escape, but those can get destroyed anyway. You can't really bring them back, so it's a repair card. You really don't need that in escape, so kind of goes without saying. Yeah, that's my skill card tier list ranking for the combat medic. We're going to move on to the next class, which is going to be mechanic. There's no jack in escape. Alrighty guys, this is the skill card tier list ranking for the mechanic in escape. So the mechanic is primarily a horde oriented class, but it does have some functionality in escape. I'm going to rank the cards A through Z. Armor plating, any of the horde cards you really don't need here. Fortifications resist over 32% damage. There's a couple weapon lockers, but there's not a lot of highs with that, so you really want to stick to DPS cards anyway if you're running mechanic. Best friends, no jack and escape, so can't benefit from jack because there is no jack. Custom robotics, I'd say it's above average. Increased damage on head DB weapons. Enforcers, overkills, and bars. I believe salvo is where this card would be nice. Efficient fabrication, no fortifications in escape. Efficient sentry, no sentries in escape. Flow, not repairing in escape. Healing repair, not healing anything in escape, although stim would be pretty nice. Ingenuity, not repairing anything in escape. Kind of get the gist of this video. That not a lot of cards are really useful for the mechanic in escape, so that's just how the class is built. Long range resistance is okay. I mean, again, there's not really a lot of cards left to run here, so 32% resistance from precision weapons is fine. I guess some resistance is better than nothing, but you're still likely to get one shot down from a lot of things with that. Overclock, I guess you could run it in some hives that do have level 2 lockers. You can get faster reload time. There's not a lot of hives where this is applicable, but I guess I can't say it's totally useless, so I guess I'll put it in below average. Fortifications do more damage. Overload you don't really need. Again, you're not building fortifications in escape. Personal defense I think is really nice. Consecutive enforcer hits increase damage up to 100%. Like I mentioned before, that weapon specific cards aren't great, but in this class situation you don't really have a lot of options, but of the available options this is probably the strongest. Makes this paired with custom robotics is pretty nice. Reinforced fabrication, extra fort health. There's no fortifications to escape, so don't need it. Robotic porting, I'd say reduced recoil for DB weapons is pretty nice to have. Definitely one going to be in your rotation. It is nice to shoot an overkill or an enforcer without having to worry about recoil, so that's nice. Because not a lot of situations are you going to be running robotic porting, but in escape you might be. So root kit, again, 1 second of repairing reduces cooldown. You're not going to be having to repair anything in escape, so not useful. And sure rounds, very useful. This is your main source of DPS as the mechanic. You do extra bleeding damage with a turret. I've seen this used with a Mac or a anchor on like the gatekeepers, where the turret can shoot through the Mac shield and kill the swarm Mac. So that's pretty clutch. That's really cool. But yeah, you're pretty much running DPS cards for the mechanic and escape. Like I said, a lot of the repair cards not going to be useful. Overclock could be semi-useful depending on the map, but you're just going to be running a lot of these starting 5 cards here. And that's pretty much the tier list ranking for the mechanic. Let's move on to the next class, which will be Robotics Expert. Alrighty guys, this is the skill card tier list ranking for the Robotics Expert and Escape. So we just did the mechanic a second ago. This card is going to be a little more useful, has more useful cards for the mode. So let's get started. Bloody DR1, that is your pretty much source of damage. In Escape, you do have solid cards outside of the ultimate, but This is a great distraction if you are getting overrun. I would recommend marking as many enemies as you can and deploying the DR1 as far away from enemies. That way it doesn't immediately get meleeed by a reject to death or something. So just be on the lookout for that. But still a great card to run. Can take down mini bosses, sentinels, guardians, things like that pretty quickly. So solid card for sure. Bloody support, precision damage, causes bleed damage when your ultimate is ready. So this requires you to have like marks a long shot M-bar. So once those weapons are available, you can make use of this card. Some hives may not have them, so it's solid though. Combat Engineer is an engineer card, so that's not going to be useful in Escape. Enforcer reporting, below average. Reduced recoil on Enforcer is nice, although I would just counteract it by just shooting it slower and remembering that like outside of 5, 6, 7 meters, the Enforcer does pretty much nothing, so it's solid though. Experimental weapons, if you do have a DB weapon, which is a overkill M-bar salvo, something like that, it can be pretty nice. A lot of hives are going to have overkills. Salvo and M-bar will be limited, but doing extra damage to heavily wounded enemies is really nice. Explosive kill shot, I'd say, is average. Killing down but down enemies deals explosive damage. It's not that much explosive damage, so it's solid though. It does look cool. Kind of looks like an all the glory explosive headshot type of thing, but it's solid. Global overclock, I'd say it's average. This overclock is faster than the mechanics overclock, but again, there's not a lot of highs of weapon lockers. So if there's a high of the weapon locker, you could maybe justify running it if you have classes in the game that need ammo, but otherwise run some of the other DPS class cards. Global Sentry upgrade, no sentries in Escape, heavy resistance, damage resistance to heavy weapon damage, far too low, and still likely to one-shot down you anyway with the salvo boom. Salvo, Molter, Tri-Shot, whatever heavy weapon they shoot you with. Homebody, no power taps in Escape. Inspired Sniping could be average. Only works for the long shot and Marksa, I believe. Actually, I believe this only works with this long shot. Sniper hits reduced ultimate cooldown. So if you need your ultimate, you could just keep getting sniper body shots or headshots, and this will reduce your ultimate in multiples of 1.6 seconds. So sooner or later, if you get enough hits, you can get your ultimate back really fast. So really nice. Melee resistance, I'd say it's average. You can sponge an extra melee here and there from a drone or elite drone. Not a huge amount, like a warden is still going to down you, but still a solid card. Nerves of Steel, not going to use it. Repair card in Horde. Parting Gift, 100% increased damage with grenade attacks. Like, it's such an out of meta card for the class that it really just doesn't fit. In Master, 100% grenade damage, tagging something, doing that much more damage is likely not going to kill it, and it's just going to end up, more than likely, you're going to end up killing yourself. So I wouldn't recommend it. Precision Repairs, again, Horde card, so you really don't need it. And I'd probably change my mind here. I'm probably going to put melee resistance at the top here, because some damage resistance is nice. I mean, at least you can sponge an extra melee here or there. So I think it's, yeah, I'd put above average. Because Escape, you really want to prioritize our damage resistance, health regen, so any card that could do that is slightly better than some of the other options. That's pretty much the single card tier list ranking for the Robotics Expert. So he's got some more useful cards than the Mechanic and Escape, but again, repair cards not going to be used. So let's move on to the final support class, which is the Tactician, probably the strongest support class in Escape. Let's get started here. Battle hardened, below average. I've mentioned before many times our damage resistance card that's 32%. 32% resistance to explosive damage, you're likely going to get boomed, drop shotted, salvoed, grenaded anyway. So I would recommend it. Cooperation, I'd say it's average. Just teammates deal 30% extra damage to your mark. It's not a huge amount of damage increase, but I guess on maps where you're dealing with bosses like the gatekeepers, I could see it being used. One thing to note is that it only increases damage for your teammates, just not for you. So just keep that in mind. Custom snub, below average. Increased effects and damage for the snub, so solid card to run at the beginning of the hive, or beginning low level tactician, but there are certainly better options. Disciplined, probably the best, one of the strongest cards in the game. Consecutive ballistic hits increase damage up to 100%. This card works better than intended anyway. Makes your snub, all your ballistic weapons stronger. You could also run a sniper build with this class. Makes your explosive bleed stronger. If you shoot a boom shot or a drop shot, switch to an assault rifle, you do more bleed damage, because it counts as ballistic hits when you're holding an assault rifle out, but that's neither here or there. Still a great card regardless. Eagle Eyes, when you have interrogation, kind of makes this card not that useful, marking 7 additional targets. It's cool, but when you can meat shield an enemy and mark like 50, what's the function of the card, right? Grenade pouch, I'd say it's above average. A lot of hives have grenades, and if you're running interrogation build, you can have extra flashbangs, so dual functionality of this card, so I have it in above average. Huddle up, I think, is not useful. 17% resupply per teammate, that is way too little. Even if you have 5 teammates in there, it's 85% faster. So you can get like explosive ammo a little quicker, but I feel like Venom Explosive Resupply kind of makes this card obsolete, in my opinion. Interrogation, above average. Not a lot of hives where you can be using it, but when you do have it, it is really nice. So really good on like a hive like the End or the Gatekeepers or something where there's huge fights at the end. Really nice card to run. The only thing is you need demolitions in the game to make running this card worthwhile. Modified Hammer Burst, I'd say it's average. A lot of hives you either have a Hammer Burst early from an ammo room or something, or a drone. So this is pretty. You could do pretty solid damage until you get an opportunity to get an explosive weapon, but not a card I have at my starting 5 or something, but it is a solid card. I won't say it's terrible, especially if comparing it. So especially if you pair it with Disciplined, it makes the Hammer Burst really powerful. Recharge Bounty, above average, reduced the cooldown on marked kill. So Keegan or Tactician's passive is that you marking an enemy reduces ultimate cooldown, so this just adds on to it even more. So this is definitely a card you want to run, as the ultimate is one of the most useful ultimates in the game. Giving yourself ammo as much as possible to your teammates and yourself is really nice. So running that card is worth it. Amplifier, above average. Resupply Amplifier is above average. Increased resupply radius. Very useful in situations where you have you need ammo regen quickly, and you have teammates that are kind of spread out, so you can run this card. Good situation where I'd see this card used is the ammo room prior to the Swarmac fighting it on the Gatekeepers. You could probably run this. That way you could have teammates spread around and you can have ammo regen, so you can fight everything on the way to the end. Resupply duration, I'd say it's above average. In Horde, it's a higher priority because the ultimate duration is shorter, but in Escape, you already have pretty decent ultimate duration. I think the base duration is solid enough, but running this makes it even better, so classes like a marksman or an infiltrator can get their ammo back quicker. Healing module is amazing. Reduces damage resistance by 63% and gives you a crazy amount of health regen, so the class is super tanky during the ultimate. And the funny thing is, the great thing is, you don't have to be in the circle for this card to work. It can work once the ultimate is active. Obviously, being in the circle will benefit you because you get the health benefits as well on top of the ammo benefits, but just let you know. Speed loader, once you have an explosive weapon, you can really go to town with this card. Once it's level 6, you bypass active rounds, so you can just spam boom shots, salvos, drop shots, the GLs, whatever, during your ultimate, and clear maps easily. Shredder, goes without saying, you need explosive bleed. This is what this class is built around. Of course, there is other meta other than explosive bleed. You can run the disciplined sniper bleed, sniper build as well. That could be useful on some escape highs, but pretty much going to be running explosive bleed, as there are lots of scions and wardens and things you may need to kill. Situational awareness, I don't think this card works, and I wouldn't really recommend it. Marking aggressive enemies automatically, I don't even think it works. I put this in the bottom tier of cards, like cards that are like taunt cards, really don't seem to be useful to me. It could be an okay beginner card, but I'm not a huge fan of it, so I don't recommend it. Venom boost. Venom kills reduce cooldown by 35 seconds every kill you get. Could be really nice to help you get your ultimate back on hives with longer recharge or something like that. Or if you just want your ultimate back is super fast, getting a couple kills in Venom on top of marking enemies and then on top of running like recharge bounty, you can get your ultimate back in like 3 or 4 kills, so that's really nice. And Venom explosive resupply is pretty much a must-have in Escape. This is how you get your Venom. This is how you get your explosive ammo, so your boom shot, GLs, torque bows. It doesn't resupply frags, but it resupplies all your explosive ammo, salvo, boom, drop shot, boom shot, GL, torque bow pretty quickly. Just got to be in the Venom, remember, for this to be useful. And that is pretty much the skill card tier list rankings for the Tactician. So you just want to focus on explosive bleed and healing cards for the ultimate. The above average and average cards are cards that I run in the rotation all the time, and then below average and cards I don't use are cards that are either obsolete or just beginner low level cards that once you unlock better cards you just use those instead. So that is pretty much the skill card tier list ranking for the Tactician and Escape, and that'll finalize the skill card tier list ranking video for all the support classes in Escape. Feel free to leave a comment below, discuss something, have a disagreement of where I put some cards. Feel free to comment below, can have an open discussion. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. You guys have a good one. Peace.